Welcome to Crafting Digital Stories using Canva AI tools with Jennifer Suhr. Well, hello there. The agenda for today is these three different parts. We're going to be looking at media arts and the design brief and story development that I went through with the students. They were year 5 age. We then looked at using AI tools in Canva and how we went about that and what the students used. Then we're going to be looking at the presenting and responding component of the unit. For all those that like to see a written overview, here's one here for you. Basically, the students looked at the theme of grandparents and looked at exploring the legacies or various events or memories they had with their grandparents. In visual arts, they created a sculpture that you'll see soon and had those displayed in an art show. From that, they then went and did an exploration and understanding of personal histories that they had with their grandparents. If there was a significant cultural story to tell, or a memory that they had on a holiday, or just something about their grandparents, they were able to express their feelings of their grandparent by using multimedia uses of technologies through Canva. So the inquiry link for this unit of work was important for you to understand because it comes from an integrated studies background. And the big idea for it was that people and events of the past shape our future, and what a poignant subject to choose than grandparents as people that shape their future. So here you can see the essential questions that we used for that unit. For those of you that are in Australia, you'll all understand the Australian curriculum. For those in other parts of the world, we have an Australian curriculum that we all use. These are the media arts achievement standards that are used in all subjects. These are, though, specifically the media arts ones, and we looked at the making component, the responding, and the presenting and performing. There are 4 subjects that link to this unit of work. As mentioned before, in visual arts, the students created a clay sculpture of their grandparent, and here is the small video at the art show where they were displayed. The integrated unit, of course, about people that are significant in their lives, meaning their grandparents. The technology that is linked, Canva is used throughout our college with many different projects in many subjects, not all, but many subjects, and English description writing. The story development for this piece was where the students had to create a storyboard. Now, in media, we do this with all our pieces, especially from grade 4 and up, as it links onto our high school where they use it as well. They had to use 4 different camera shots in their presentation: a bird's eye view, a long shot, a media shot, and a close-up shot. This helped them develop and map their ideas so they knew where to move on to next when making their presentation. So here you can see, this is my example, bird's eye view first of Grandma's house. Then you're seeing a long shot because it's a full body, adding some elements that are showing some movement and that Grandma's dressed with her hat, something that's nostalgic about her. Then it's all about her cooking. So we go into her kitchen and we see that there's something on the stove, and then she's made that great feast, and here's our close-up showing that great feast, and that's a memory for the students. Now here is step-by-step to go through how to make this. So we're going to use a presentation 16 by 9. Then we're going to go into our apps and get Magic Media. This is where students start using AI tools, and they're going to be typing in a bird's eye view because that's the camera shot we use. Sometimes AI doesn't quite get that right, but I encourage them to put it in anyway. Put the type of house that Grandma might have and a little bit of detail. You can put as much or little detail as you want. You can even put things like in watercolor style or cartoon style or realistic style. Canva takes a little while just to make these 4 images. Now, here are my images, and I'm going to choose one of those images. If you don't like it, of course, you can generate again. So I choose that one, and we set as background. Once we've done that, show the students how to go up to the elements, and we start looking for things that can be in this screen basically. So I will talk to them about, well, what sort of things would be in a garden? What sort of things would be moving possibly? Because we want to have that animation aspect to make it a media arts piece. So I'm looking at butterflies here. So we'll go in and get butterflies. Of course, that's a giant butterfly. That's not going to be realistic, so we need to downscale it. And some children have a little bit of difficulty with that. So you can see that I am just going to be going in and doing a whole lot of different ones and placing them in different parts of the piece. Place them in different areas. Sometimes I also encourage them to duplicate the element so that, you can say, well, butterflies are often, there's sometimes more than just one. This is another really good one. We've got a bird flying. This is one of the only ones. So if anyone's out there that can make elements, let's have more birds that can fly. That'd be great. To animate it, we click on the animate button and we're going to do create an animation. You then click onto and hold and move the bird across the screen in whatever way that you would like. And then you can see a preview of it moving across the screen. And then you click done when you are done with that. Continue to add any other elements that is necessary for this one. Just having a final look. There's some other little cute ones that could be around in the garden area. And we just minimize them to make them a more realistic size. And here I am duplicating that element so that there's more than one. Like I said to you, I say to them that there's going to be more than one of those probably insects in the garden. We'll then look at a person. So here we can look at, a few different people walking. I end up putting that there and thought it looked a little bit too cartoony. And I changed my mind and decided to have a little bit of a bit more of a look. But in the end, I do go back and choose that one. So it is hard sometimes that they're not exactly what you want. And that's what I talk to them about. If the image that you've used is very realistic, well, then it's going to be really difficult to actually find an element that will go with what you're using. So sometimes putting in use cartoon style is the best sort of one to put. So yeah, here we go again. I go down and inevitably I choose the one that I had at the start. I think I go back up again. And there it is. Could have saved myself a whole lot of time there. So then we're looking at proportions. So that's another great element that we're looking at to show them. And where do we want this? We talk about, well, you can't have the people walking sideways like that unless they're Michael Jackson dancing. So maybe not. We're going to use the same animation as we did previously, and we're going to have the girl walking across the pathway at the front there. So when you're happy with it, click done, and then we can move on to the next slide. That's going to be a next view. Unfortunately, I didn't do that. I actually decided to add some flowers. Of course, I put some more flowers in there for the garden. Ones that are swaying or moving is what I probably should have put in there. I think I do that later, just to show that there's some movement, that there's blowing in the breeze. There's not just animals there and a person moving. Even adding trees are good, make them the right size. Again, we discuss proportion and size, making sure that's probably a little unrealistic. Again, this one is cartoon style. So they may want to go to photographs and find something there and do background remover so that they can have some trees that they want to add into the piece. Just go back, have another look at it a bit more. You could honestly be on here for hours, and sometimes some children, because they're so indecisive, as I have been doing this quite obviously, it can take a long time. So instead, I've changed the description to moving so that I might find something a little bit more appropriate for what I'm looking for. So again, just finding a few of those elements, placing them in different parts around the garden. All students are also told that they need to have that animation. Animation makes it a media arts piece. If we don't have the animation, well, then it's simply just a picture. So we will go and add a few more, like I said before, of those flowers that are growing and place them in different parts around the garden before moving on to the next part. Now here is step by step to go through how to make this. So we're going to use a presentation 16 by 9. Then we're going to go into our apps and get Magic Media. This is where students start using AI tools, and they're going to be typing in a bird's eye view because that's the camera shot we use. Sometimes AI doesn't quite get that right, but I encourage them to put it in anyway. Put the type of house that grandma might have and a little bit of detail. You can put as much or little detail as you want. You can even put things like in watercolor style or cartoon style or realistic style. Canva takes a little while just to make these 4 images. Now, here are my images, and I'm going to choose one of those images. If you don't like it, of course, you can generate again. So I choose that one. And so next we are going on to page 2, and we're going to do our next shot, which will be a medium shot. Previous one, I was talking about grandma's house. It's actually not grandma's house. We've decided to do granddad's house. So we're putting in front porch or a cabin with stairs. Also include what sort of gardens you want. So the students then have to think about that the whole recording or the presentation has to be moved forward, or the image that they need. Canva will come up with 4 different images that we can use, and we will then add elements to keep the consistency with the previous one. So starting to look at some of these, it really doesn't look like the house that I had previously. So I often say to the students, well, you know what, let's add in there some other description to try and help make it a little more like what I'm looking for, make it a close-up view of a front porch, and then we're going to generate again. So I did put in the first one when we did the bird's eye view, I said a cabin. So I didn't put that this time. So I put it this time, and you can see that it's generating some more. I love this new feature in Canva, how they have the words that are kind of moving around as it's generating the images. Okay, so these are a lot better. So I'm going to choose, have a look at them first to see, man, I think the first one probably looks the best. So we'll go with that one. And then we're going to set this image to the background. Students use this now all the time. They know when I say presentation, we've got to set it to the background. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to use AI again, Magic Media, and we're going to recreate or create what Granddad looks like. A lot of the students were finding in the elements that there really wasn't anything they thought that looked like their grandma or their grandparent or whoever. So when we do look at the elements here, we actually do the granddad later on, but I've gone here and looked at the flowers, putting in those flowers, trying to use some of the ones that I did before so we had a little bit of consistency, even though this front porch isn't exactly that building that we had in the first one. It's close enough for the purpose of what we're doing right here, which is really seeing the students' media skills and using the elements, using the magic media and so forth. So again, just repeating, putting in some more elements, making sure that they're in proportion and that there's a little bit more than just a few. Okay, so next we're going to go down and put in maybe some insects, some butterflies again, because we had that in the first one, that there were butterflies in the garden. And we're just going to go with maybe some of the ones that we had before. Just have a look at everything we've got and use that beautiful monarch butterfly that's there at the front and scale it down and have that in the garden. Again, proportion and size. We use that language a lot. Some elements of design and elements of art as well. Okay, so we've got that. Now we're going to go and hopefully I think this is where I go ahead and look at Magic Media again. And we're going to put into Magic Media the prompts that I'd like for my grandparent. So description of him, I was thinking a Santa Claus kind of figure, which is why I actually put the words that I did put here. So grandparent or grandfather with a white beard. I'm surprised Santa Claus didn't actually get made for this. But anyway, so we've got Santa Claus with a hat on. He's out in the garden. So I was trying to think of things that, you could wear when you're in the garden. I know I don't put on an apron, but I figured maybe a grandparent might if they're working out in the garden, and a hat on. So keeping it pretty simple to start with, and also with a happy disposition, which is a good one. Here is where we can also again go and add things like in a watercolor style, or hyper realistic if you wanted, pop art style, if you all different sorts of styles that you could use. Again, Canva's weaving a little bit of magic for us here. And the 4 that actually are created are quite good. So I do go with I do look at them and think, oh gosh, but they're actually really not with what I was sort of thinking. So I actually just ask it to generate again. Because when I did look at it there, I thought, oh, gee, I don't know. Let's do the background remover. Have a look at how it sits here with the background, and I just wasn't feeling it. So you'll see that I'll go and make it again after having a little bit of a play. And you know what? That's the thing I say to the students, that they need to be able to um, decide on whether the design or what they've got is really what they're looking for. Some of them get a little bit pedantic about this, and I have to kind of move them on because of time constraints. So here, look, you can see I go and put in cartoon style so that we can move ahead and maybe get a little bit more realistic for what I'm going for. I mean, that one would have been suffice, but it wasn't really what I was going for with what I thought that the flowers looked like. And there we go. We've got a few more images, and then that last one, that's the one I wanted. So I get rid of this one, delete that one, and go with this new one. Again, background remover. So now we're saying a medium shot. Medium shots are from the waist up. And also just saying that, if he's at the front of the image, we're not going to see his legs, so he has to appear a little larger because things that are closer are larger. I use that an awful lot in media arts where we're discussing screen camera shots. And so then we're just going to now add that, and that's great. So I'm really happy with that. So I've skipped this one ahead a little because you all get the idea of what we're doing now. We're going into Magic Media. We're now setting the scene where we're doing a long shot, and the students are making their grandparent at a distance. Usually this is full body, but because I wanted to keep that same grandfather throughout, and really difficult to probably try and get him the same again, I put him in behind a garden. Now, they often ask if they can include themselves in their work. Yes, of course they can if they'd like to. So I just did a brief description of a girl with pigtails, black hair, 10 years old, to kind of see what I would get, and also made it that cartoon style so that we had some consistency with the characters that were in the presentation. I've often looked at some of these AIs and think, geez, they're nice. And you can also tell on social media now which things are images are AI. I'm sure all of you have seen exactly the same thing. Okay, so looking at these, 3 of them were black and white. One kind of had not exactly what I wanted. So I do actually get it to do it again for me, to make it a little bit more what I'm looking for. And again, students have this happen all the time. I've then gone and put in to try just again to get exactly what I was looking for. It wasn't what I was trying to see. So in the next clip, you'll be able to see, of course, what comes within the stage. At the end of this, I'm going to have the whole piece run, and then we're going to be actually viewing some students' work. I've put 3 in there for you to see at the level of a 10-year-old of what they've done. And, they really do come up with some great stuff. So what I can see here, that this is way more what I was looking for, and I choose that first one there. Notice the pig face that we've got there. I'm not too sure what happens there. I think it's because I said pigtails. And so AI's thought I've meant a pig, which is interesting. Okay, so let's get this in proportion. Students also had a little difficulty sometimes when they would go and make grandma. So she was so small she couldn't sit on a couch. And I'd say, oh, is grandma smaller than the couch sort of thing, or whatever. So we do have to make it so that the child is smaller than granddad. As they are at a distance. So you can see there that I have done that now. Also wanted to include any other sort of animals or pets that may be included within the image. And this is actually really good for them to see that proportion and how to have the golden retriever, which you will see is going to be closer. It's going to be larger, even though the dog is smaller than people. But again, we discuss about distance, how when things are closer, they are bigger. So there's a really good one there of the golden retriever that's going to be added to the piece. Background remover again, adjust the size of it. And then placing it where it would look great, and just make it so that it's not exactly in alignment there with the people, adjusting the size a little bit, and then moving on. And then we will go to the next recording. So I've skipped this one ahead a little because you all get the idea of what we're doing now. We're going into magic media. We're now setting the scene where we're doing a long shot and the students are making their grandparent at a distance. Usually this is full body, but because I wanted to keep that same grandfather throughout, and really difficult to probably try and get him the same again, I put him in behind a garden. Now, they often ask if they can include themselves in their work. Yes, of course they can if they'd like to. So I just did a brief description of a girl with pigtails, black hair, 10 years old, to kind of see what I would get, and also made it that cartoon style so that we had some consistency with the characters that were in the presentation. I've often looked at some of these AIs and think, geez, they're nice. And you can also tell on social media now which things are images are AI. I'm sure all of you have seen exactly the same thing. Okay, so looking at these, 3 of them were black and white. One kind of had not exactly what I wanted. So I do actually get it to do it again for me, to make it a little bit more what I'm looking for. And again, students have this happen all the time. I've then gone and put in to try just again to get exactly what I was looking for. It wasn't what I was trying to see. So in the next clip, you'll be able to see, of course, what. Now what we're going to be doing is doing the final slide. Students did 4 to 5 slides, depending on what story they wanted to depict. But in the storyboard, you would have seen that there were 4 that they did. So it just was easier for them to stick with that as a guidance. Now we're just going to be going back inside with something else that's a memory for the students that they would have had with their grandfather, and it's going to be the garden shed with the rustic look. I try and encourage them with as much descriptive writing as they can, with garden tools, an inside view of the garden through a window and so forth. So once that one was done, I'm going to then go on to a few other elements that need to be done within the piece, and that is adding any sound or music that might match with the piece that we're doing. You'll see that in the examples that are to come. So these ones weren't quite what I was looking for. You can see again, I've just regenerated them. In a moment, I'll do them again to get a little bit more what I wanted. Perhaps again, adding some words that can help make that more focused on what I'm looking for. So these are way more what I was thinking. In fact, I could have used any of these. So just choosing one of those and moving on. After this, you're going to then see about the adding the music and so forth. Also, the other thing that we need to add in here will be the transitions between the slides. So whether we want to have some sort of transition or they just wanted to go to the next slide, and some of them did decide to do that. That's up to them. I didn't actually say whether that was necessary, but some students chose not to and some chose to do them, so that's fine. Now we've got to do that close-up. Now a close-up should just be only a headshot so that you're seeing detail. So again, this does throw them because they're saying, oh, but you can't see him all and everything. And it's like, yes, but a full shot would be that we're just seeing Granddad's head. So we're making it as close as possible of his body. You can add a few other little things in here as well to help with movement, to create that animation. Again, that is part of media. So adding things like butterflies or bees or something like that would be perfect in this instance. So you'll see here soon that I'll go up to elements again, go and search for insects perhaps to finish it up. Some students, you'll notice in the examples, even put speech bubbles. Now, I didn't encourage this. This wasn't something that I actually said, because I said that the whole presentation should be able to, in a way, speak without putting words in it. And the other elements that added, like sound and music, would help with that as well. Knowing that you don't always have to have word to portray a message was a good learning curve for a lot of students. So the other thing that we also do talk about is that you can have things that are happening without outside of the window. So sunlight shining inside, or it might be snow falling for those people in the Northern Hemisphere outside the window, or some sort of thing like that, or whether the window was open when you had it and there's a breeze, with curtains flowing, or something like that. We're finishing it off just to link a little bit of that garden with Granddad, and we're choosing a flower to place into his hat. Any of these little extra elements that student add to make it a little bit more personalised. I could go and ask the student about this and say, oh, my granddad always put a flower in his hat. And, that's again a nostalgic way of storytelling about their grandparent. So here we can also, go and have a look at the transitions. So transitions can be, sometimes an addition that is welcoming or makes it enhance the piece. So also changing that length of those transitions is sometimes a good thing. Sometimes the ones that they have here are quite quick. And then always apply between all slides so that it's consistent is another one. Some students really like to make things all different, but we talk a lot about consistency to make the piece flow beautifully throughout. So here you can see that I have actually added the go to the audio and go to the first icon that has like a music note. There, the students can type in whatever sort of sounds they want. You can see I have added in some chirping noises and then a really nice piano piece that goes beautifully throughout. Now, again, some students really want to chop and change with a lot of music. Again, that consistency is something that we talk about that should run throughout the whole piece. Some layered and put several different sounds as well as music within. And there you go for the final piece. So for the next few slides, the three of them are student work, and I'll just leave you to watch those until the end when I check back in with you. So here you can see that I have actually added the go to the audio and go to the first icon that has like a music note. There, the students can type in whatever sort of sounds they want. You can see that I have added in some chirping noises and then a really nice piano piece that goes beautifully throughout. Now, again, some students really want to chop and change with a lot of music. Again, that consistency is something that we talk about that should run throughout the whole piece. Some layered and put several different sounds as well as music. For responding and presenting, the students uploaded their presentation to our school learning management system. They then reflected on their creating and what they were aiming to display to the viewer. Students were able to share this with their grandparents, and some of the presentations were put on our school screens that are featured in our pod, which is our library technology building, and on screens outside our administration building for other students to view. So here are my socials. You can follow me on my Canva Instagram account, which is at Gemalua. Also, I have a art-based and more practical ones with Mrs. Sir's Art Room. I also have a Facebook page that is for all Australian educators, as well as I am a community Canvassador for Canva, and I am a education creator at Canva. So you can find me on all these, as well as my email address for my school. Thanks for watching, everyone.